Alright, everybody, we are back to JoJo with Stardust Crusaders, the third arc in the story. And so far, these arcs have been very well connected. I will do my best to review this best as I can because it took me a very long time to finish the arc. I'll explain in a minute. But it did take me a really long time to finish the arc. And it just I don't think I was expecting it to take me this long. I really didn't want to take this long. It's not that it was a bad arc, and there was nothing bad with the arc. I actually really enjoyed the arc. It's just that it took me very long. Before I get into the video, consider subscribing to my channel. I post Wednesdays where I do writing vlogs and writing based things. So I post Wednesday, Friday, where I do reactions, and then Sundays where I give you my book reviews, of course. So I post those 3 days of the week mainly. I do post other times of the week, but Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday is the main schedule, and I post usually at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That way you have something to watch when you wake up. Also consider subscribing to my blog, which will be in the description. I share my reviews there as well, or at least some of the reviews. I do more reviews in this channel than I do in the blog, but I share some of my reviews as well as my creative work. I do talk a lot about my writing, especially on Wednesdays, and you can judge my writing for yourself. So yeah, so Stardust Crusaders is interesting because we go from there's a bit of there are a couple of years of there are a couple of decades of difference, which makes sense. But the interesting part of this is that we changed the power. So it goes from Hamon to stands now, and it's kind of interesting. Each stand has a different I guess a different use for it and so on in a way. It's an interesting thing to I honestly don't know how to explain stands. I really don't. Hamon made sense. Stands are a little bit you kind of I don't actually know how to explain it. So we kind of go there and we meet our new JoJo the of the for the story, and that is Jotaro Kujo. But he is Joseph's grandson. I love it because we got Jonathan's uh great grandson, and now we have Joseph's grandson. It's interesting. Um, we follow him in this arc, and basically he kind of gets himself locked up because he thinks he sees something, and it's some form of weird demon possessing him. It's what he thinks. So Holly and his mother ends up calling her father, um, Joseph Joestar, to come help her because Jotaro is doing everything not to everything to stay locked up where he is. So Joseph flies in and explains to him, no, he explains it's a stand, and that he has one too for, unexplained reasons. And also this is kind of also where we learn that Holly is basically a daddy's girl. Like she's very similar to what Susie Q was like when she was in the battle tendency arc. So yeah, she's really similar to what Susie Q was like, but she's also very much like her dad's girl, like very much so. It was very interesting to see. Um, and he so we that's how we find that out. But the story truly starts when Holly gets sick. She gets very sick, and you find out that, well, who's back again? Dio. And it turns out Dio is alive, and he also has a stand, and he also has Jonathan. Wait, yeah, Jonathan Joestar's body. He wants to take it over, but now he's taken over the body, but it's not fully his. And now that that's happened, Jotaro and Joseph, along with a couple of other people, a couple of other friends, they end up making along the way. It's Afdal, Polnareff, Jotaro's Jotaro, Joseph, and Kakuin, they go basically to find and get rid of Dio in order to cure Holly, because unlike the others, she doesn't have the energy for a stand, and it is killing her, and they have 50 days. That is basically the story. Now, this arc was heavily action packed, and I love it. I think that was amazing. I think that was great. That was heavily action packed. I will say that the build up took a longer time than I expected it to. And there were a lot more episodes in this arc. This is not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just wasn't expecting it. So the reason it took me so long to watch JoJo is because the arc was, there were moments when it felt like the arc was dragging on and on and on, and I was like, I'm very tired, and I took really long breaks from it. So because it felt like it was dragging on and on, it felt like there were a lot of breaks, and I was like, I can't watch it all the way I kind of watched the other two. I mean, the other two, okay, no, Phantom Blood I kind of watched in like a couple of sittings, because it was like 8-9 episodes. And then Battle Tendency I watched also in a couple of sittings. It was a longer arc, but it didn't feel like there was a lot of build up. There was time to slow down, but this arc was like fast. It was like slow for the build up, and then it was like fast. We gotta go through this quest. We gotta do this. And in every single episode, there was a fight, because wherever they landed, Dio somehow managed to get a stand user there to stop their process or their progress. And while I love it, it did take me a while to get used to kind of watch it, because I wasn't expecting that so much. I think there was a I think a lot for me. I just wasn't really, I think I wasn't used to this kind of, I'm not used to this kind of pacing with JoJo, because JoJo tends to, in the previous arcs, it was a given that it was going to be a little bit slower at moments and fast in other moments. So it was kind of a given that they were not going to take that long. So I think when it came to Stardust Crusaders, I was expecting a similar kind of pacing, but I didn't get that, and it kind of like messed me up a little bit with the experience. But I'm not saying this was bad. This is actually a good storytelling technique, considering the quest aspect. It was considering the quest aspect of this arc, it was actually good that it kind of took a little bit longer, that there were more episodes, that there were more clues, that each, and also my favorite part of this arc is that each character had their own motivation. I mean, that was the case in the other arcs as well, but in this one it was really interesting to see the motivations, just because of the effect that Dio had on all of them. I mean, because of Dio, Stans became part of the Joestar family, because he kind of became he kind of made them a thing, and now a lot of them have it, and Holly is about to die. So yeah, overall it was a pretty well told story. I like Susie Q's appearances in this. I love her a little bit, that when she's older. I mean, I kind of liked her. I liked her in the last arc. She was young. She was really interesting. I fully loved her in the previous arc. Susie Q was cool. In this one though, I really liked her as she was older. It was great. It was really interesting to kind of see her in this era of her life. I will say I still miss Arena. I miss Arena so much. Watching this third arc, Arena gets mentioned by Joseph, because of course he calls her Granny Arena, so he gets mentioned. It is very cute, and it was a great mention of her, but I miss her character so much. You have no idea. I think the story in general was good, and I liked it. I liked the action. It was a very action-packed arc with really interesting story. I like all of it. I loved it a lot. It was good. Now, I'm gonna go into the only complaint I have, but please be aware that um this is a trend that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure so far has been following, and I really hope it doesn't continue to follow it in what is this arc called that I'm watching right now? The fourth arc. I can't remember the name of it. I really hope it doesn't follow in the next arc that I'm watching right now. I'm gonna look up the name, but I really hope it doesn't follow it. This is a slight spoiler, kind of, so be aware of that. So there is a trend in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure where the best friend dies. And I don't like it because they go through all this. We see them build up this friendship, and it is super adorable. We see them build up this friendship. We see the friendship being heavily built up. We see them like bond. We see them bond, and we see these friendships build only for them to die at the end. And it is I just don't like or appreciate. Oh, I'm watching Diamond is Unbreakable. Okay, there it is. Yeah, I don't appreciate that these people keep dying, and I'm just like, why exactly are these characters dying when you have all this happen? Usually they die in like a they basically die in a very sacrificial way, where they sacrifice to like give their friends the last shot of to some like to give their friends that last shot of defeating the villain. And I'm just like, what? No, there's no reason. There's no reason for these people to die for this. In a way, it does show that that Dio specifically is pretty heartless, and it also shows that it also shows that that the friendships that they make throughout the entire arc are, you know, they're very strong, but at the same time so hard to see. I don't necessarily love that. I really hope this is not something that follows Diamond is Unbreakable. Just like there was a trend that ended, as far as we know. As far as we know, there is a trend that ended in this arc. So in both Phantom Blood and Battle Tendency, there was a point where both arcs kind of ended with Jonathan and Joseph respectively getting married. I'm kind of glad that we didn't see that in this arc. There was no marriage, and I'm like, oh, that's good, because I didn't want to see a marriage that just didn't make any sense. So there was no marriage, and I'm happy to say that there was no such thing as that. So that trend seemingly ended with the arc, with that arc, and I'm kind of like why can't the friend part end? Like, why can't the friends dying end here? and in that arc too. Please don't kill more friends. It's so hard. Don't kill more friends. They're very sad. So yeah, that is those are my thoughts on Stardust Crusaders. Hopefully it will not take me, let me see, because I know that Stardust Crusaders basically had two parts and it had a bunch of episodes, and due to that it's kind of like you have the Stardust Crusaders part, and then you have, I think, Egypt. If you want to look at Egypt as its own arc, which I didn't want to do, it kind of it has a long, it had a really long arc. It had these two things, and it took me a while to get through these episodes because it was taking forever. And I think this second arc is gonna follow a similar, the arc that I'm watching right now uh is going to follow a similar arc, a similar build up, because it has 39 episodes. So it is definitely going to be a bit long for me to watch, I think. I'm not sure. I'm going to do my best to watch an episode or two a day so that I can kind of get a little bit faster to it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section on Stardust Crusaders. Have you watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Do you plan to watch it based on the reviews I've had? I will link the other two reviews if you're up for them. I should mention that stuff in the beginning, but hey, I'm not always that great about it. So I'll link that stuff there if you're interested. And yeah, that's all I have. Before I leave, again, quick reminder, consider giving a like to this video, consider subscribing to my channel. I post Wednesday, Fridays, and Sundays, usually around 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That way, when you wake up, you have something to watch. You can also consider subscribing to my blog, which will be linked in the description. I do talk a lot about my writing on Wednesdays, and you can definitely judge my writing for yourself because I am very proud of it, and I love to see other people's feedbacks and other people's thoughts. So feel free to check out my writing in my blog. I share reviews and I share my creative work. And with that, I'll see you in my next video. I don't know what I will be reviewing next week because this is literally the end of this video right now is the end of a recording session. I don't have anything scheduled for next week's review yet. So see you next week for a review. We'll see what it is. And until next time, consume stories. Bye.